The DJI Mini 3 packs many improvements over the DJI Mini 2. That's according to the latest full leak specifications. But is it enough to get you to update your DJI Mini 2 or even the original DJI Mavic Pro? Stay tuned, but before I get into the details, I encourage you to subscribe and choose all notifications so you're kept informed on the latest camera gear news and rumors. The DJI Mini wasn't perfect, but at $449 and weighing less than 250 grams, it was perfect for many. When you hit that 250 gram limit, or once you get above it, now you have to start worrying about getting your drone license in most countries. But you keep it under 250 grams, that's no longer an issue. So it was a great drone at $449, but it wasn't perfect. It had a smaller sensor. Battery life wasn't the best. It lacked any sort of optical avoidance system, which is one of the biggest selling features of the DJI drone products, whether Mavic Pro or any of the industrial ones. Their optical avoidance system is absolutely incredible. And also, it didn't have any active tracking system, and that's again one of the things that drew me to this drone. The ability to track your subject, regardless of what you were doing, to be able to rotate around your subject, capture it while you're filming, was truly incredible. And of course, you didn't have to worry about bumping into trees or lampshades or anything like that with its optical avoidance system. So you might be wondering, what are the DJI Mini specs? What is it about this aerial camera that might attract you to buy it? Well, it does have a larger 1 1/3 sensor. It supports HDR, has dual ISO, and once again, it's under 250 grams, although there is a caveat on that, which we're going to put a pin in and address later when we get down to battery life. One of the biggest improvements over the Mini 2 in the Mini 3 is a tri-directional optical avoidance system. So up, down, and forwards. It's great. I mean, it makes flying a drone so much easier. You can still crash it, and if you're going to be flying for the first time, make sure in an open field without people around and just practice flying, because you're going to get into a situation where you're going to go forward instead of backwards or left instead of right. But for a lot of times, that optical avoidance system is going to prevent you from destroying your drone on the first night out or first day out. Yet don't fly at night. Also showing up in the DJI Mini 3 is Spotlight, Point of Interest, and Active Track. These three capabilities are what really make the DJI Mavic Pro, the DJI Mini, all the drones so easy to use, along with the obstacle avoidance system. You want to track a moving subject, no problem, whether it's a person, a car, or maybe you want to track that person while you're rotating around them. The results are truly incredible, and if you know how to shoot, know how to set up the scene, if you become your own director, these drones are, well, they're not drones, they're aerial camera platforms that can get you shots that you wouldn't otherwise, without having to spend an awful lot of money for, well, renting a chopper by the hour. And I can tell you personally, those aren't cheap. The Mini 3 gets an improvement over the Mini 2 in video as well. It does have a 48 megapixel sensor and it has a RAW mode, but as far as shooting video goes, 4K 60, an improvement over 4K 30. The battery life has also improved by 3 minutes, so up to 34 minutes from 31 minutes. However, you are able to push it up to a staggering 47 minutes with an optional add-on. However, that intelligent optional add-on, well, it puts it over 250 grams, so unless you've got your license, that's something you might want to avoid. So when is it going to be available, you might ask, and what is it going to cost? Well, we suspect that it's going to be available sometime around June, maybe late May. And for a price, well, the DJI Mini 2 cost $449. The Mini 3, $749 with the controller. So it is a bit of a boost in price. But is it worth it to you? Obviously, I can't answer that question. It's really up to you to determine if the capabilities of the DJI Mini 3 are worth it for you. But maybe it'll help you if I told you what I'm thinking about this drone. I like the Mavic Pro. I still use it several times a year, but it is starting to show its age. The color representation isn't the best, and if I'm honest, if I'm shooting out over a scene where the terrain is pretty well bland or consistent in one way or another, such as the water or the ice, what tends to happen is in the lower third of the screen, you start to notice artifacts. You don't have as much detail there, and I think that has to do with the sensor and the speed of the unit that it's able to pull the information from the camera through the sensor and the processor and onto the storage. So I would definitely like to see better quality video. 4K 60 is really nice to have. 4K 30 is good too, but the level of detail really, really matters to me, and that's what I want to wait to see. I want to see leaked. Well, I don't want to see leaked. I want to see actual full reviews of this and judge for myself if the quality of the video over the DJI Mini 3 is better than my Mavic Pro. But other than that, this pretty well looks perfect to me. It's small, it's lightweight, and while my drone is licensed for both Canada and the United States, so I can fly and I follow the regulations, I'm all caught up in all that stuff, to be able to take a drone out and not have to worry about that, well, that's a big deal at 250 grams. And the battery life? Well, I generally shoot for between 10 and 20 minutes at a time, and whenever I hit close to 20 minutes, that's when I always bring the drone in. However, if I'm shooting out across the water or the ice and I want to go out a kilometer or two, well, generally I'm a lot more careful, because what can happen if you're ever shooting over water, it might be calm, but it doesn't take long for the wind to pick up. So I'm generally a little bit more conservative when flying over large bodies of water. However, 47 minutes, I'm really curious to know what we have to do to get that 47 minutes, and does it actually push it over 250 grams? Doesn't matter if it goes over by 1 gram or 2. Well, actually, if it goes over 1 gram or 2, I can probably cut off little bits of plastic to drop it back down again. Still, 47 minutes, that's impressive. But I'll be honest with you, in the, I don't know how many years since I've had this, the 4 or 5 years that I've had the Mavic Pro, I've never really run into a problem with battery life. You see, when I go out to shoot, I have a shot list with me. I have 3 batteries. And on the first battery, I aim to get a certain amount of shots done. And whether I have 50% left, 30%, or even 80% left, I bring the drone back, change out the battery, and then I do the next shot list, and I repeat until I'm done. And I'll be honest with you, only once did I end up using that 3rd battery. Planning out your shots makes a huge difference, but also having plenty of batteries. You see, when I bought the DJI Mavic Pro, I bought their Fly More bundle. Back in those days, it was pretty cheap. I think it came to around $1,200, $11.99 US, and it came with a controller, 3 batteries. It also came with some stickers, you know, silly things like that. But this came separately. This is essentially what protects your drone, because the obstacle avoidance system doesn't always work. And what these do, at the time they were around $11, I think they're $20 right now. They snap on, they don't add that much weight, they don't really reduce flying time by that much. But if you're ever flying in areas where there's grass or other things that the obstacle avoidance system doesn't necessarily pick up, or as I was doing once before, I was flying close to the house and I changed my orientation by 180 degrees. So I went to go left and I went right and it bumped into the house. I was going very slow, so no big deal. It bumped into it and backed off perfectly fine. But the first week that I got this, I did what I recommended at the beginning of the video. I took it out to a field, I practiced flying, and all was going well. Well, it was far enough away that I couldn't tell it was moving away from me, and I was picking up speed. And once I realized it, it was too late. Bam, right into a tree. You could hear a crack as loud as that. I went and investigated. It was still hovering, still flying. The drone was fine, but this had completely cracked. So, hopped online, spent another $12, and got a new protector. And I forgot what they call it, but they're usually around $11 to $20. Definitely get it. It's going to save your bacon. Nobody who flies drones doesn't hit things every now and then, and you're going to go down. And the last thing you want to do is end up with a huge repair bill when all you would have had to do is spent $10 or $20. But that's it for now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And actually, if you go ahead and subscribe, choose all notifications. So that way, as I produce new videos, you're going to be kept up to date on the latest news and rumors, as you'll get a reminder. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.